growing up a little bit before we do the penny thing,
Oh.
if you don't mind.
Sure.
In terms of how long did you know about your sexuality and that you were gay?
Oh, and since I was 4, I was a very aware little kid. I knew definitely I wasn't marrying a boy, I was going to marry a girl.
And how did that make you feel at that time?
Well, I knew I wasn't supposed to talk about it. I was smart enough for that. I kept it under my, whatever you want to call it. I kept it to myself. I didn't discuss it with anybody. But evidently it was clear to my aunt, who was gay, that I was gay. By the time I was 12, 13, she really became quite a very good mentor for me. She was really wonderful to me. And like I said, she took me a lot of places and did things with me and spent time with me and stuff. And she didn't tell me specifically at the time that she was gay because she was afraid that I would let it slip by accident. I'm positive because, and, you know, I have a loose, I was known for my big mouth. Not that anything important or big came out of it, but, you know, I just blabbed a lot.
And at what age then did you ever have an open conversation? How old were you when she started to speak openly to you about your sexuality or hers?
She didn't talk about it to me. She just did things with me. And she, like, for instance, she gave me Andre Gide Straight as the Gate. And we discussed Anne Gertrude Stein. And we talked, when I was, we also were talked about other things. We, like, for instance, because the family was from Russia and they had been to Paris, there was a big split in Russian society in the 1800s and the turn of the century between what they called the Slavophiles and the Francophiles. The cultured people were supposed to speak French, and the other people who said, no, we should have pride in our own culture. And that's one of the reasons I was a big Dostoevsky fan, because I was a Slavophile, but not until I didn't realize there was a big divide until I read about it. I actually read about it afterwards, but I was very much of a Slavophile, and I didn't really care. I would have taken Russian in my school if I could have, but you know, they didn't offer Russian. And but I read all the Russian novelists and stuff, and she also was a Slavophile. So we talked about Dostoevsky and Tolstoy and Anna Karenina, and she said, who did I like there? And I said, Levin. And she said, yeah, me too. So it was like very empowering to have somebody to talk to about, you know, most kids your own age are not interested in talking about literature and philosophy and stuff, and I was involved in that stuff. I don't know, you know, it was just part of my life. It was in my family. I was interested in, my grandfather had a big library. I was always, even before I could read, I was taking the heavy books down and trying to decipher what was going on and looking at the pictures. So once I did learn to read, which took me quite a long time, by the way, I didn't read till I was 9. But when I did learn to read, I just kept reading and thinking, and, you know, because I was pretty, you know, there was not a lot of things for me to do. I was involved with my brother's friends for playing sports, but not much, no conversation, you know. So I just didn't have too many people to talk to, except, you know, so there were certain people in my family, like my aunt and stuff, you know, like that.
Did you ever write for yourself?
No, I hate to write.
You hate to write, yeah.
I couldn't honestly write my way out of a paper bag. I looked at some of my high school, not my high school, my college, you know, papers, and I put them in the funeral pyre. I was so bad. I was so glad I got out of school, and I said, I'll never write again. I hate writing. I just really hate writing, but I like to read.
Yeah, I was going to ask you where it came from, but you kind of answered the question. And you've had this lifelong passion for reading. It's amazing.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah. Then earlier in the interview, you talked, I think, that when you first came to New York and you were trying to find your way into the gay world a little bit, but you didn't really have the courage, because you were afraid of being beaten up, or that was there things that happened to you in your late teens, early 20s that made you feel this fear?
Well, I've seen,
what was the vibe
saw what
like?
happened to other people, let's put it that way. It was sort of like Brokeback Mountain. He didn't get killed himself, but he fought. Remember, he tells a story, his father took him and his brother to see this guy, dead body, because he was gay, and He thought his father might even have done it and stuff. I don't know if you saw the movie.
I didn't see the movie yet, no.
Don't go, it's depressing.
Oh.
It's really good, but it's
Yeah.
really depressing.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't mind that.
It's so depressing.
Yeah.
It is just unbelievably the wrong kind of film at this time. But I mean, the guy's brilliant. I mean, it really was a brilliant piece of work. I mean, how he got it produced, I'll never know. How he got the recognition he got, I'll never know. But there you go. I guess it's because whenever gay people are sad and depressing, that's the perfect image. They want that image, I suppose, you know.
Yeah, I want to ask Sarah what she thinks of that movie and its success. Because she's
Yeah, that
very
should be-
interested
yeah.
in bringing
Yeah.
lesbian content to the mainstream, and she's up against that whole world.
Yeah.
But just about you again, so, I mean, you saw it through other people, but what was it like being you in your late teens, early 20s?
Well, I was obviously in the closet. I was directed towards two things: doing my academic work, because I thought I was going to be a professional philosopher at some point, until I realized that would mean I'd have to teach people. And then when I had actually spent a semester teaching people, I hated it so much. I said, no way. I don't want to be like that. I don't want to do that. And I got out. I just stopped. You know, I just got away from, looked for something else. I was so happy to find mechanic work, because I always did stuff with my hands. I made models and built race car thing, you know, the little soapbox things kids built in the olden days. And I was always looking for things to fix and do and stuff. So I'm so glad I found that, because it was some of the happiest times of my life. Fixing cars was just a blast.
How did you make your living most of your life?
Well, I fixed cars for a bunch of years, and then I got sick, and I became a parasite. That's all I can tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Not much of a life, not much of a living. I just scraped by.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in a neighborhood where you could still do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so do you remember the first time you saw Penny, one of Penny's shows, 1985?
Something must have been around then, because I was at PS 122, and she was doing all the characters, boy and girl, and and Margot, Howard, and I can't even remember all the characters, but they were totally brilliant, absolutely fantastic, wonderful characters. I mean, did you have a film of that? Did you ever see?
Oh yeah, no,
So you know what I'm talking about.
Sure. And we've
I
done
mean,
some of those characters in other
being
shows.
there was just, I can't explain it. It was just an absolutely fantastic experience. You just were so completely drawn in, so you just felt so, and you learn so much about other people's way of seeing the world, and you know, it just was an amazing. That was an amazing piece.
Did you meet Penny afterwards?
I then went up to her and said I thought her work was totally brilliant. I said something to that effect to her. And then I said I wanted to come see the next piece. And the next piece was La Miseria, which was about her growing up. What a terrible life. That was hard. I thought my life was hard. Well, I knew my life wasn't that hard. I just over-dramatized it. But that was really horrific. And I've heard some really horrible stories about things how children were abused, and how they grew up, and they were, became my friends and stuff, and I just couldn't believe that they survived that. It was amazing to me. I thought, man, I wouldn't have survived. I would have just died, or I would have killed somebody.
Yeah, so, I mean, what is it about Penny as an entity on the Lower East Side?
Well, she's extremely courageous, both in telling people about her life and not telling them just to say, as a confession, but but it has the meaningfulness of it in terms of the larger social context in which it took place. So aware, maybe not at the very beginning, but certainly as she got older, she became so aware of what all that meant, and how she wasn't so, she was very alone in some ways, but she was also aware that it wasn't just her, that